Welcome back. I probably should have hit record much earlier in this, but Erik Braund and I have been having a conversation. Welcome to the show, Erik.
Hey, thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
Yep, I'm really glad. Like I said, Jair gave me a real brief demo about their product, which, obviously I will make sure we have links in the show notes so you can see it because it's downright amazing. And it talks about, remote work and connecting with people and all that. So why don't you share a little bit about you and your company, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Great. My name is Erik Braund, CEO, founder of Katmai Tech, www.katmaiTech.com. We created this technology that we call immersive video technology. During the pandemic, it was a direct reaction to, okay, we can't be in a room together. However, the off-the-shelf products that we're using, Teams, Zoom, Meet, WebEx, all these things, they have not evolved in a decade or 2 decades, maybe. We're basically using Skype that I was using 20 years ago. And not to be crass, because these platforms kept the world moving during that time. However, I've taken a step back and said there's got to be a different way to approach remote work, hybrid work, and honestly, even distributed teams in for companies that are fully back in the office. And so we built a technology. We spent years building it in stealth mode. It was tough to build. It's browser based. It's basically picture yourself in a video game. So it's a high quality immersive 3D environment. And instead of an avatar or something cartoonish, everything looks pretty nice. And instead of a cartoon of you, it's you live on video. And you're able to have agency to move throughout environments. And it's not so much about interacting with the environments, it's about people. And it's about interacting with teams and agreeing to a different way of work that says, hey, I'm going to be in this platform for a couple hours a day. Let's have access to each other. And we have incredible statistics by working that way. You're able to have way less meetings, shorter meetings, meetings with less people, and honestly richer meetings. And there's an extra element that we can't quite prove with data beyond anecdotal feedback, but culture has come back for remote companies, and that's something we're really excited about.
Like you said, I got a real quick demo of it just before I hit record, and I will tell you this. Because I work in all types of situations with workplace culture being a challenge, hybrid, in person, every which way. And I have not seen anything quite like this when it comes to, and this is not a sales pitch by me by any stretch, but it's going to be something that I'm going to recommend for people that are struggling with remote work because it literally it's as if you were walking in the office physically, but you're virtual, and you see an office, you see Mike is sitting in the office, his door is open, which means you can probably interrupt him real quick and say, hey, quick question, go over updates, things like that. And the next room over is somebody, Mike happens to be in Canada. The next person in the virtual room that you see is in New Jersey. Now, classic way of this would be if you were in person, that you're not going to be meeting with somebody in Canada and in New Jersey at the same time unless you're on some type of
Yeah.
Polycom device or Skype or anything else.
Yep.
But those technologies, and I agree. I remember using, I think it was a Polycom video conference system when I worked at Russell Reynolds 20 something years ago. And I look at, even the technology that you and I are using right now to record this. And the technology has not evolved from that aspect, where yours is like, I looked at, I'm like, geez, this would be, a much better interaction thing to record in real person, because then it would be a situation where, let's say I'm interviewing somebody, it could be anybody, and so you know what, I want to bring in Jim from manufacturing because we're working on this product, and he's going to show you a quick demo. All of a sudden, that changes the interactivity of this show and all this. So my all of a sudden my brain just started, sparking all kinds of different things. And again, it's one of those things where you can collaborate with people instantly. Because one of the biggest problems we saw, and this, when we first got sent home in March of 2020, and it was how do we interact with each other, and how do we, have meetings, how do we move things along? When we were in person, a 2-minute chat with Cliff from accounting or Stan from marketing could move things forward. Otherwise, you're like, let's line up a Zoom call, and all of a sudden, something that could have been addressed in 5 minutes might take all day. Well, you start adding that up. The turnaround time on things gets longer. So you guys saw that as a huge problem and decided to address it.
Michael, you get it quicker and faster, maybe more than anyone ever has. You reminded me, like, in the office, the best you could do is peek over the cubicle to see if someone's there, or peek in a door, see if they're there. Use social cues to say, "Can I interrupt for a minute?" and ask them, "Hey, can I bug you for 2 minutes?" And ultimately, that is the full value of the office, is that quick interaction. And sure, there's like managerial, micromanaging things of, are they there, blah blah blah. But like, at the end of the day, the thing we lost was the ability to say, "Can I bug you for 2 minutes? I have an idea or I need feedback." And to do that now requires aligning a million calendars, working through 30 and 60-minute increments of time. I don't know about you, but if I call someone these days in 2025, they're like, "Hi, Eric, is everything okay? You just called me directly. You didn't text them or set up a meeting. It's like it's an emergency if you get a phone call at this point." So we have enabled that interaction from anywhere in the world. And all it takes is one agreement amongst teammates of like, "Hey, we have a general time of day that we work, and we're logged into this thing in a little browser window on your computer." And before you know it, we found our customers have deleted 70% of their standing meetings. 70% of meetings are gone. My quick rattle off statistics are, our customers spend 23 hours a week on average logged into Katmai. By doing that, they only spend 2.5 hours a week in meetings. Zoom customers spend 17 hours a week in meetings. Teams customers spend 12 hours a week in meetings. Zoom and Teams, they both have the same average of participants per meeting. 7 people. 30, 54-minute meetings, 45-minute meetings, 7 people. Katmai, the average meeting, less than 15 minutes, 2.5 people, not scheduled. 90% of the meetings in this way of work 90% of the meetings in this way of work are spontaneous. And that leads you to, okay, let's talk about culture. Culture doesn't happen in a meeting on Zoom. It just don't. It's like the awkward 5 minutes of everybody joining, someone's off camera, someone's on their phone. And then at the end of the meeting, you're trying to say goodbye or maybe have a chat or like, "Hey, can you stay on for a second?" And before that happens, the host is into the meeting and you're done. And you've got to go to your next 60-minute meeting. So my thing is like, culture is in moments, it's not in meetings. And you had the Zoom CEO a year or two ago call everyone back to the office and say, "You can't run a company on Zoom. There's no culture on remote video conferencing." And I'm just like, wait a minute. You got Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan building this like massive office in New York City to bring everyone back to the office, saying all these things. And I'm like, I think remote work and hybrid work and honestly in office work are only still being measured through two options: back to the office or a grid of faces and meetings. And I call bullshit to that. I'm just like, come on, it's 2025. We have new technology. There's new ways of thinking about this. So we like to say it is your office from anywhere. And it's true. I mean, like, all of my interactions about Katmai, whether it's internal or external, they're in our headquarters. That's it. Like, come to our headquarters, come visit. It's pretty cool.
And the thing of it is too, and there's so many things I want to go over with this, but we'll pick on Jamie Dimon for a second.
Great.
I'm admirer of his career and everything he's done. I disagree with him on this because what happens is it quite frankly limits your capabilities. And what I mean by this is, while yes, nothing wrong with New York. Wonderful, wonderful city. It's not for everybody. You may have some extremely talented people that want to stay put in Austin, Texas, or Albuquerque, or San Diego, or Seattle, or somewhere else. Your technology allows them to do that. They're working there. They're at the office. Everybody's in the office. And from a cost standpoint, we know commercial real estate is not cheap. And again, everybody wants a footprint, and I'm not knocking Jamie or anybody on this, but
Yep.
what I find is when people are able to be where they want to be, that gives them a little bit of autonomy and they feel like they have a say in some things. And to go back to what you mentioned a few minutes ago about, the quicker turnaround times and meetings and all of that, one of the positive side effects of that is, and I think one of the reasons why so many people burn out at work and they get frustrated is because deep down we want to finish things.
Yes.
We want to complete tasks. If we can get 10 things off of our plate today because we had, 10 2 or 5 minute meetings and we move everything along, when we wrap up the workday, we go, I crushed it today. And what does that do? It does two things. One, it motivates them to say, you know what, I want to keep working, which as a burnout guy, I tell them, no, you need to stop while you're ahead. But, you're engaged and you're
Hmm.
like, I'm getting things done where, okay, I got to do this meeting. All right, now I got to have another meeting. And then years and years ago, my brother he was a consultant for the auto sector, and this one automotive company literally had to have a meeting to figure out why they had so many meetings. That was their meeting. And I crack. I mean, that was decades ago, and I still crack up about that. And I asked him, well, did they come to a solution? No, they're going to have another meeting. Of course, they're going to have another meeting. It's like because they don't they're people aren't listening, and I see that too, and I know you do as well. In many of these Teams meetings or Zoom meetings, not this one, we're having a conversation. It's a little bit different, but
Yep.
in work meetings, it's a little different. And I'll give a real life this morning example. I'm sitting and they're not a sponsor of the show, so I'm not going to mention the coffee place, but we all know who they are. So I'm in there and I'm just sitting down and drinking my coffee, and I had a breakfast sandwich. I'm just sitting there. I'm not on my phone. I'm just kind of just observing. And there was a gentleman two spots down from me, and he was on a Zoom call or Teams call or something like that, and I'm listening to the other party because he didn't have his earbuds in. So, I don't think they gave any trade secrets, but I thought it was a little weird that he just kind of had it out in the open. So it may have
Yeah.
been an impromptu meeting. Long story short, I'm listening to well, we're waiting on this, and we have to deal with this, and yeah, we're going to get that report to you, but we need this and this. So it ties right back to what you said. It's like, they had technology like this. Guess what? My hunch is that would have been done. He wouldn't have had to take a call while he was having breakfast. He could have gone and done his, work while he was working instead of trying to jam in work, walk the dog calls. I see it all the time.
Yep.
I'm a dog owner as well, and I see people on the phone with work call as they're walking their dog. They're trying to multitask. And and multitasking just fails miserably because you're not fully there. You're kind of like participating and like, yeah, I'm gonna come in. I'm just gonna do this, but I'm also walking the dog, make sure that he doesn't chew something, so I have a $600 vet bill kind of
Yep.
thing. So again, and that's another reason why people are stressed and burned out and low engagement because they're trying to do too much.
Yep.
And again, seeing that demo this morning, I saw so many different opportunities where you go into that room and like you said, you had a couple of meetings this morning. Like, okay, there's things that are on your to-do plate in order to move things forward. Same thing with Mike in Canada and everybody else. There's things that are on their plate to get done. If they can get it done in a couple minutes, it's a dopamine hit, quite frankly.
It is. One of our customers characterizes it the absolute best. He goes, Katmai turns next week's 30-minute meeting into today's 5-minute conversation. And it's just like, boom, there it is. That's the value. Is like, get rid of the meeting next week. Just go talk to the person. You said something about burnout and like, you crushed it. You've turned in your things. You've completed tasks and you're done for the day and you feel great. There is really an emotional effect to like when you log into a virtual office and it's populated with people. So this morning I was the third person there. And then the fourth person and I had a conversation for about an hour, except all that was we were in a sound zone together, a pod. We were kind of BSing. We were talking about the things that we got to get done today and tomorrow and next week. We're going on a trip next week to see some customers. And we just had a collaborative session. And then before you knew it, I took 2 phone calls. We talked about 25 different things with no agenda. We just flowed. And then it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go get a coffee. I got a thing. Great. Then you're like, I'd say by the time I showed it to you, there was 14 people in the office. By the time I'm done with this call and the people in California or the West Coast wake up, I'm on the East Coast, there's going to be 25 people in our office. And then guests are going to come in, customers are going to come in, demos are going to come in. I don't know, we'll have a lawyer or a board member visit or something, right? Because we treat it like it's our physical office and it's really easy to access. But what happens at the end of the workday for a fully remote team, we've never had an office, we're not going to have an office. Obviously, we can't. But for a fully remote team like this, like you said earlier, we get to hire from anywhere. My talent pool is global. The first people that were part of the team, I'm in New York. There was 3 New Yorks, Florida, the Netherlands, Alaska, Canada. I mean, it was just all over the place. And we just worked in our own product. And at the end of the day, you close the browser window of your office. So you close your Chrome window. You have left the place. You've left this availability to all the people. And you literally are sitting in the same physical room, but you feel like you left work. And it's like a, all right, it's that feeling of turn the lights off, close the door, see you tomorrow. And like we as a policy, like we use Slack for some things. It's like our only other communication tool because we're still there's async things that have to happen sometimes. And we decided from day one, we're not going to try and replace Slack's text capabilities as a priority on our roadmap. Like we're doing something different, right? We don't Slack all night and we don't Slack on the weekends. There is a start and a stop to a workday that is so good for people. Like boundaries are so important. They just are. Like people need them. And we have a customer that says we don't email. We're allergic to email internally. And when I see Slack going off the rails, I remind people, there's like a 30-person company. I remind people this is a Katmai conversation. Go talk about this in the office tomorrow. Stop talking about this. And it's like it's good for like it puts remote work back in a container instead of this like nebulous 24/7 thing. So
It makes so much, yeah, and I use all the tools and all of that,
yeah,
but and I always say this, and when I do keynote talks and stuff like this, I show my phone and I go, these are amazing devices. They allow you to work anywhere at any time, but they have a really nasty negative side effect. They allow you to work anywhere at any time. And you
yeah.
have to have boundaries around when you work and when you don't. And I use the analogy, my dad worked for Generous Motors. I grew up in Detroit, so we we,
Okay.
we call them GM Generous Motors. So it was a sarcastic comment. But anyway, long story short, my dad worked on the assembly line, and towards the end of his career, he delivered engines to the assembly line using a forklift. I never remember seeing dad bring a forklift home. His work left work.
Yeah,
Okay, now mentally stressing about the job,
sure.
that you carry that. And the auto sector, for those that are familiar with it, is very cyclical. When it's going good, it's great. When it's in the tanks, it's not.
Yeah.
And that was something that unfortunately he carried with him and stressed him out more than it should have, but I get why he was that way. Long story short, what you said is important. This is a conversation that we do not need to be having on Slack. We're going to go use our wonderful technology tomorrow.
Hmm.
Hang it up. And again, and what happens is it happens accidentally at first, but then you thankfully went, no, we got to move this to where this belongs.
Yep.
We do not make pancakes in the bedroom. Using a food analogy here, that's made
Yep.
in the kitchen because
Yep.
otherwise we get syrup and pancake batter all over the place.
Yep.
Dog doesn't mind. Dog's going,
Yep.
this is the best day of my life.
Yep.
The rest of us going, oh man, it's like I got maple syrup on the pillowcase. So weird analogy, I know, but
No, but I
work
love
with
your
it.
iPhone comment. What's funny about that is my first 3 years of Katmai, I was bad with boundaries because I was self-funding it and then raising money for the first time in my life, building a team, pandemic, two small kids at home, no one in school. Life is insane, right? But like, okay, the world's open, life is kind of normal, and now we're like taking our technology to market and getting customers and learning things. The iPhone one is of such a perfect thing there, and that your point of view. I have all of my notifications turned off. My email does not push. Slack, there's not a notification from Slack. I have every text message notification off except for my wife, my father, my mother, and one of my board members, and the school the kids are at. Those are the only things that ring or give me an alert. I have everything off because I'm just like, this thing is toxic for attention and emotions and all of it. If I want to go dive in, I'm going to go look at my text and I'm like, oh my God, there's 67 texts. Which one's important? Slack. You know what? I'm gonna go look at that on a computer because I need more attention there. And then like voicemail, forget it. I have like 1,000 of them I haven't listened to because there's too many things. There's too many avenues. And that actually is what we have a real estate customer that's running a deal room in Katmai, and basically what I learned is they were using like 7 tools all the time to try and communicate with a remote team. It's like, oh, someone would have a Zoom bridge up, someone's on Teams, there's some DMing going on, maybe on WhatsApp on the browser between someone's phone and the computer, and then there's emails going on, and then someone's also text messaging. It's like a total mess, right? And the concept of like, well, hey, log into Katmai. It's really simple. You're at your computer. You're right. You just go talk to them. Something comes up. It doesn't get pushed to the bottom of an email box and looked at 4 hours later. It's like solve it in 45 seconds. So our little slogan: work at the speed of thought. It's like if as fast as you can think about it, you can go talk to someone about it.
Yeah, and again, that you mentioned all those tools. What happens is when I sent you a message, well, where?
Yeah. Where?
Yeah, then all of a sudden you got to go forensic and start, you're basically an episode of CSI trying to figure out where you sent that message.
I had to install Signal for one person. And I was like, what do you, can't we just like, there's nothing worth hiding here. What are we talking about? It's just
Yeah.
like, for God's sake, there's too many tools.
Yeah, and I get it, and it reminds me of the .com days when there were so many different things out there, and we're seeing that now with AI. There's so many different
Yeah.
things. It's like pick something that works, and don't try to apply broken systems to new technology. Fix your system first, then you can start doing it. And
Yep.
I love the platform. I'm a huge fan of it. Thank you for sharing that. So why don't you, I really appreciate your time today. Why don't you share where people again can find you, the link, and anything else?
Yep. So it's called Katmai, and you're going to ask yourself, what the heck is Katmai? I'm from Alaska. Katmai is a national park, mountain range, volcano area in Alaska. Beautiful place. A little nod to my, my roots there. It's Katmai Tech, Tech.com. And you can sign up for a free trial, unlimited features, all those things. And the thing that I love to do is literally invite anyone I meet into our office to come experience it and have a chat with me and meet some folks. So you can find me on LinkedIn too, Erik Braund, ErikBraund. It's a little picture of me and one of my Pomeranians, and that's the one. And come on by, drop in from anywhere, from your phone, your tablet, your desktop, your laptop, doesn't matter.
Sounds good. We'll definitely have that
Yeah.
in the show notes. So Eric, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it and loved our conversation.
Michael, look forward to it. Let's do it again sometime.
Sounds good.